Turkey was one of the fastest growing economies in the world with an 8% growth rate. And despite the economic crisis, Turkey seems to have achieved impressive progress. So I think the question we all want to ask is, where does Turkey's resilience to the global financial crisis come from?
I mean, I think up until 2000, Turkey did everything wrong that can be done right. So we had no other choice but to do things right. When we had our major financial crisis in 2001, where public finances collapsed, we had a banking system that costed 30% of GDP to the public purse. If anyone says it costs less, I have very big doubts, right? But it has been very costly. So Turkey had to do a couple of things, and at a relatively short period of time. One is, of course, you have to recapitalize your banking system, but at the same time, economy is contracting, and at a time when the economy is contracting, you have to take fiscal measures, and we didn't have the EU to back us up. So we had to do it more or less alone, with some support from IMF, where IMF's managing director, Horst Köhler, back then became the German president, was not very willing to help. So it was a bit of the US pressure that Turkey achieved some help from the IMF with very tough conditions. Right? Turkey had to, its famous primary surplus that everybody, this is a fiscal surplus excluding your interest payments. Turkey had to move it from 1.5% of GDP to 6% within 1 year. And Turkey promised that. I was there in the room when Horst Köhler handed a letter to back then Minister Dervish. That's the condition. Minister Dervish promised that, and not only promised, but delivered it year after year. So doing that, we couldn't do it only by increasing taxes. We really have to look at how we spend the money. So Turkey, restructured its agricultural subsidy system. We have restructured our state-owned enterprises, which was a big burden on the budget. We looked at the whole guarantee mechanism to control the contingent liabilities. It is not the debt that you see, it is the debt that you don't see on your balance sheet that kills you, that we learned it in an expensive way. And despite a young population, we had politicians that let women retire at 38, men at 40, and they live longer, so there was a big cost on the pension system. So we had to do a pension reform at the same time because we had no other option. So Turkey has done all that and developed independent institutions for banking regulation. Central bank was made independent. We had also established a competition board and all that. So all those institutions, plus relatively following the crisis, when the global crisis hit Turkey, then Turkey managed, when the debt to GDP was in 2000 around 75%, we had it down to 40 when the crisis hit us. Households were not indebted, as the banking system couldn't develop significantly. Corporations were not indebted. So it is the low level of indebtedness, right? Plus, of course, all these institutional changes that had Turkey to recover very quickly. Turkey contracted 5% in 2009 crisis, but the recovery was strong because once your balance sheets are strong, you can fall down like a 10-year-old boy, but then you just stand up and run again. So Turkey is a bit like that. It is not immune to any crisis, but as the balance sheets are strong, it doesn't kill you, right? It hurts you, you recover quick and start running, and that's what Turkey did.
Second question. I've got here a report, an FDI report from FDI Intelligence, our database basically, on basically foreign direct investment into Turkey from 2003 to up until now. And 2008 was actually the year in which the highest numbers of projects were recorded, which was actually the year of the crisis. During this period, a total of nearly 48,000 jobs were created and 13 billion euros capital was invested by this project. Also, the domestic market growth potential was the top key motive cited by companies, But also, this was followed by proximity to markets or customers and the regulations or business climate. The question would be, what did Turkey do to attract as many investment projects?
I think rule number one is you put your public balance sheet under control, right? If you don't have it under control, people would worry that at some point the government will come and tax you, right? So it is a killer for business. Second, for the business environment, once you do those macro reforms, although they sound different, it's also easy, right? It's a decision on the table that you take. I'll not pay so much for agricultural subsidies. It's politically difficult, but once you decide it, you can implement it. The more difficult one is changing the business environment, right? I mean, how do you change the business mind of, you can change the central government, you can set up like a one-stop shop for FDI, but how do you deal with the local guys, right? That doesn't want you to close your investment. Opening up is easy, the difficult part is closing it. Right? So people should feel relatively comfortable, right, in that the business environment will remain stable. So this is not only by rules and regulations, but it's also you have to really try to change the way officials think, both at the central level and the local level. Turkey has taken a lot of steps on the macroeconomic environment, market debt and all that. But there is still some way to go. So I think Turkey's success is first improving the macro environment, second having all the laws and the legislations in place. Turkey has done that. Now changing the mindset of people, Turkey has taken strong steps, but it only happens very gradually. Are we there at a very satisfactory level? I don't think so, but we have taken a lot of steps, and that is rewarded by an increase in the investment and interest in Turkey. I think also, I guess when other countries do worse, you look relatively better, not that you do great. So that also helped, I think, that Turkey stood on its ground when the neighboring countries are not doing that well, that improved the perceptions towards Turkey.